camera speed. Now, here is a motion picture film.
Good evening, and welcome to Real Movies. Tonight's film comes from the mind of one of the most iconic writers of the last 50 years, adapted by one of the most gifted scriptwriters of the 1980s, directed by arguably the modern cult director, and starring an icon of the era. Tonight's film is The Dead Zone. Released in 1983, The Dead Zone follows Johnny Smith, played with sympathetic honesty by Christopher Walken, a man who awakes from a 5-year coma caused by a car accident to discover he has psychic abilities, the gift of second sight. Initially, Smith finds his gift can be used for good, though the headaches that result become more painful every time. Soon, Smith is told his gift is killing him, but after meeting populist politician Greg Stilson, played by Martin Sheen, Smith realises with horror that everyone else might be dead soon too, and only he can save them. Based on the novel by Stephen King, the script came from Jeffrey Boehm, an immensely talented scriptwriter we have lauded on Real Movies, especially for his work on The Lost Boys. Boehm's script was initially rejected by producer Dino De Laurentiis, with The Dead Zone, the second of his productions, to appear as a Real Movie selection. De Laurentiis asked King to adapt his own novel, but this script was rejected, and Boehm was eventually brought back to the project to work with director David Cronenberg. Amongst fans of cinema, especially cult pictures, Cronenberg is a true legend, directing some of the most influential cult genre films of the 20th century, with The Dead Zone following a series of horror films from Cronenberg, including the iconic and disturbing pairing of Scanners and Videodrome. Given his typically challenging filmmaking style full of gory visuals, Cronenberg subverts expectation in his direction of The Dead Zone. Instead of bombast, there is subtlety, exploring the character-driven script from Jeffrey Boehm, which Stephen King said improved and intensified the power of the narrative. Rare praise from a man who is often critical of cinematic adaptations of his work. Cronenberg crafts a film that is less horror than you may expect from a Stephen King adaptation, and more of a thrilling character study, with Christopher Walken's performance at the centre. There are moments of visual flair. The opening graphic, borrowing the instantly recognisable typeface from King's original book, is a real treat, and the sequences of Johnny's second sight are smart, dynamic, and exciting to look at, startling the audience from the comfort of what is otherwise very typical cinematography, evoking that of a well-made TV movie. It looks real and feels real. It has to for the psychic powers of Walken's Johnny Smith to feel believable, and as a result, through cinematography from Mark Irwin and production design from Carol Spire, the essence of Stephen King, normality touched by the extraordinary, is captured. Walken carries the film with a layered character and a melancholy that comes to set the tone of the film. He really is excellent in this and manages to prevent the film from being depressing, which it could well have been. The supporting cast don't let him down. Brooke Adams is convincing and grounded in her portrayal of a woman who couldn't wait, and whilst it would have been easy for the film to present her negatively for not doing so, the script and Adams' performance make the point that, in the same situation, would you wait? Probably not. Alongside Walken, we get Tom Skerritt as Sheriff Bannerman, who manages to come across as your typical American small-town cop, while still being likeable. Martin Sheen, meanwhile, pitches his performance as a populist somewhere between faux charm and twisted sleazebag. It worked for 1983, but in an era of post-Trump politics, his acting seems a little subdued for the most part, compared to what the reality of a populist vying for the White House would eventually look like. That may be in part due to the seemingly small size of the rallies presented in the film, compared to the numbers that Trump would come to draw, but in 1983, such a politician was difficult to imagine as anything more than a character in a Stephen King book. To anyone but Stephen King, that is. King's predictions were startling in their accuracy, and the eventual downfall of Stilson is perfect. It's a different type of Stephen King film, wintry and melancholic, perfect for cold, damp evenings when the sofa is warm, the lights are low, and it's pouring down outside. So sit back, prepare to discover the gift of second sight, and keep it cult. This is The Dead Zone.